financial services providers have found themselves at the centre of a transformational storm.
Against a background of rapid technological innovation and quickly shifting customer preferences, the digital drive has further accelerated as customers favour contactless transactions in the wake of COVID-19.
Plenty to digest there, which is why we are joined from New York by Senior Vice President of Hybrid Cloud at IBM, Howard Boville, to explore how businesses are meeting these huge challenges. Perhaps in some ways it's an underestimation to say they are huge challenges, Howard, because they are simply endless. But look, you've got the global pandemic. It has changed the way that every industry operates. So from your perspective, what do you think has changed the most in the financial industry sector?
Well, as you say, the pandemic has actually touched all of us across our own personal lives, our consumers, businesses, and the global economy. And the financial services industry is clearly not untouched by that. But what we've observed in terms of the financial industry that we work with on a global basis is the first thing they've rushed to do is to safeguard the health and well-being of their employees, and then change the nature of how they work on a remote working basis. In addition to that, they've had to review their business continuity plans and also look at how they actually manage customers in a digital environment. But because of the actual nature of financial services, do so in a way that is compliant and secure.
Howard, what are
We've
some of the
also
biggest...
observed in terms of the changes... Sorry, go ahead, Johnny.
I was going to say, what are some of the biggest challenges that the financial institutions are facing at the moment?
It's the pace of change, as you've mentioned. So the digital transformation that all companies across all industries have been on over many years are now having to be accelerated over a matter of weeks and months in certain contexts. But the issue that you face when you're in financial services is that you have to ensure that what you do is compliant, and you have to do you need to ensure that you're secure in terms of how you run your business. We've seen a 4,300% increase in cyber criminals and nefarious actors trying to do bad things into the financial industry as a consequence of what's happened in COVID in February. So how is a financial institution able to move forward to safeguard their employees, to facilitate remote working, and also to ensure that they can interact with their customers in a frictionless and convenient way, in a digital way, whilst being compliant and whilst being secure? That's a massive challenge, whether you're a consumer bank, you're a corporate bank, high net worth or institutional clients. All of the risk apertures are the same across those different markets. So we see that's just a large challenge that banks have had to deal with, in addition to ensure that the way that their employees work is in a secure and safe way as well.
OK, let's take that a little bit further, because, Howard, when we project into the future, what do you see as some of the key business trends that are likely to evolve? And more to the point, how do you think they're going to transform this sector, and why?
So the compressed interest rates that we're likely to have for quite some time now will mean that the actual margin pressure on financial institutions will mean that they'll need to accelerate many of their back office transformations, need to think about differently in terms of how they address their markets in a digital fashion and how they think about people and how they work. We're all considering, all large enterprises and medium-sized enterprises, as to what we do from a physical work location perspective. How do you protect your employees, not in the current climate, but also beyond, as we're far more health conscious of the various things that can happen. So changing in terms of how people work, and particularly in a regulated industry, you need to be very considerate to actually the security things that can happen in terms of somebody connecting to core banking systems when they work from home. That's an area that IBM has got a huge amount of experience in terms of how we think about confidential computing in the cloud and how we actually look to protect data by using tools like machine learning and artificial intelligence. In addition to that, we live in an age now where everything is digital, and customers expect to have a frictionless and convenient experience. And that means that there can be no issues in terms of availability of platforms that banks provide, but also that every element of the business process needs to be considered. And that means that when you look at a technology transformation to drive digital transformation, you also need to look at the operating model in which a bank operates. So how are they structured? What is the way that people work that is different in the future as opposed to what it is now? And IBM provides that breadth of services because of the wealth of experience that we have, servicing 19 out of the top 20 Fortune 500 financial companies. So what we see in the future is a much quicker pace of financial institutions to embrace digital, but a need for them to understand that they're working with partners that understand at a real fine level of detail the compliance and security risk to allow them to accelerate that journey whilst protecting the interests of their customers.
Howard, we know that IBM have been focused on financial services and has a history with clients within this space. But can you tell us a little bit more about what IBM have been up to here?
So around 2 years ago, IBM started to work with a number of key anchor tenants around the world. So MUFG in Japan, BNP Paribas in Europe, and Bank of America in the US, to start to look at these compliance and security controls that are necessary, not just for those institutions, but for the whole industry. Why did we do that? We recognized that companies wanted to accelerate their digital journey, even before COVID. But we understood that the control frameworks they had to operate within and the security constraints could actually slow that down. So the idea that we've been working through with these other financial institutions, and many more that haven't been mentioned in the press releases that we have, is to see how we can set a set of global standards for controls that can allow companies to accelerate their digital transformation whilst ensuring that they protect themselves. In addition to that, we've also set up a series of councils with financial institutions around the world, which encompass technologists, but also encompass people from the business, chief risk officers, chief compliance officers, and also regulators, to create a series of forums of debate as to how we can get a set of standards on a global basis to take out this systemic risk for cloud consumption in the financial services industry.
I think we got the sense of what you were telling us. And can I thank you as well for taking the time out to be with us here on Sibos, and enjoy the rest of the Sibos week. Take care.